Hello, welcome to the Simple Blender Guide tutorial. This is Freeman Heiser. I'm just going to do a quick tutorial over just a few of the things that some of my friends had requested that I do just to help them get started into Blender, just getting around and navigating. So I'm going to do a quick navigational tutorial, something simple, something quick. So first off, as you get into Blender, you can see you can open up some of the other things you've been working on. You can see some of the credits, logs, and manuals here with these other links. This little window, you can just click right out of it just by clicking to the side. And the first time you get into Blender, there's lots of things that you are looking at that you're not too sure about. But I'm going to start with just the basics. So to move objects, you start by using the widgets. You can do that with the mouse by clicking right here, and you just left click on the widget and you can move the object around. This object is a cube. You can move it up, down. You can also change your widgets down in the bottom here. You can turn the widgets on or off. So right now it's on, now it's off. You can change whether you translate it. The word is translate to move it. You can rotate it. And when you click on the rotation widget, you can move it along its different axes. So you can see that's how you rotate it. And then you can also scale it or make it bigger or smaller. And you can play with that. And those are the three main types of widgets. Now you can also use those same widgets with hotkeys, and you can manipulate the object the same way. Generally I just leave it on the translate. And then you have what type of perspective you have with it too. So if you move it like this, you can actually rotate it, and right now you can see the perspectives on global. So what that means is that up is always pointed up. Look at the blue arrow. That's the z-axis. You can see the z-axis is pointing straight up. Now if we go to local, you'll see that now it's based on the cube itself, and it's pointing up based where the cube's up is. And so you can move that object up and down according to what it's at. So that's just a little bit. Local and global are the main ones you'll use. And then you have layers here. So as you click on the different layers, you'll see things disappear. You want to make sure if you ever have something disappear that you're on the correct layer where you're building. Usually you don't need to play too much with layers until you start getting into bigger scenes and objects, but for starting out you really don't need to play with layers. It'll just confuse you and make things get worse. So you can see that's how you start out, by moving the object. Now a few basic things as you get into Blender that you may need is a 3-button mouse. So if you don't have a 3-button mouse, you need to get one, and a number pad, and then a regular keyboard, and then the other computer specifications are laid out on the Blender website. You also want to make sure you have an NVIDIA video card if you're going to be doing a lot of OpenGL rendering, because the CUDA's, C-U-D-A, is what it uses, and that's what Blender is based off of. So NVIDIA video cards are the ones that use that. So it's important to remember, if you're getting a video card for modeling, you might as well get an NVIDIA. So that's the basics at first on how to move an object. Now you can see here we are actually in object mode. Under object mode, this is pretty much, if you can think of you setting up a scene to take pictures. You know, you'd have your object here. This could be mom, dad, brother, sister, and this is your camera. And you're going to move your camera the way you want it so you can take a picture of your object. And you can move your object. You can tell a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right. Now, like mom and dad, you can't tell them to get bigger or smaller on command, but you can do that here. And then you can set up all the different parts of your scene for your object. And so object mode allows you to select those objects and work with them. Now, you can't really do too much with the object itself unless you go into edit mode. Now, edit mode is where you can move your vertices around, and that is what edit mode does. You have to remember, when you move in Blender and navigate through Blender, you use your number pad. 4 and 6 will move you and rotate you the way you need to go. Now I'm going to turn on just the screencast display so you can see a little bit better on what I'm doing here. So with 4 and 6, it rotates you around the object. 8 will bring you up to the top of the object, down to the bottom of the object. And then you can start moving. 5 will change your perspective. So if you look up here in the left corner, you have ortho and perspective. Ortho is used more for modeling. Perspective is if you're actually doing some rendering of images. 7 will bring you up on top of the object. 1 will bring you to the front of the object. And 3 will bring you to the side of the object, on the right of the object. So that's how you can navigate the scenes. Very simple with your number pad. You can also use your mouse. You'll hit your middle mouse button here. You have to be in the window, and you can rotate around your object in any way. The right button selects your object, so you can select the camera, select the object with the right button. You can move your object around by left clicking on your widgets. And same thing, you would select with your right button, and you can move with your left button. But if you're not on the widget and you click on your left button, you're going to move your cursor. And your cursor will make objects appear at certain places, and it's important to know where your cursor is, because if it's way out here, it's out in space, and you want to add an object, it's going to appear way out there instead of at the center. If you ever need to move your cursor back, you hit Shift S, and you move your cursor back to center. So that's where you move it back. And as you start to get into it more, you'll be more appreciative of just how good of a software it is. I know at first it's very confusing and it doesn't make any sense, but as you get into it and you really learn it, you find out it's a very powerful tool. And it's a very good thing that they let us use this, as it's an open source and that it's free. So in order to move your camera to where you're seeing, this is very important. This is something that confuses a lot of people. You hit Control-Alt-0. And suddenly you see I'm in the camera view. It just moved the camera exactly where I'm at. And then I can select the camera by clicking this outer edge. And you hit G to grab it. And I can move that camera just a little bit. I can hit G again and the middle mouse button and allow me to zoom in and out with the camera. And so that is very helpful. That's going to help you a lot as you get into it. And then you hit F12 to take your image and F11 to go back. So you can start taking pictures with your camera that way. That's how you move around and take the pictures, move your camera around, and move your objects around. So that's some of the basic navigation of Blender. I hope that tutorial was helpful, and I hope that you have a good day. Thank you.